Okay, Thomas Freed here, and I've talked about this before, but I think it's important to go over it again because this is what is being done, and it's obvious. And what I'm talking about is the Democrats and Joe Biden's open border policy. And it's absolutely clear the intent and purpose of this open border policy is threefold. First, it's to pursue the implementation of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, which calls for the overwhelming and the making dysfunctional of all of the social support systems that exist. You want to overwhelm the food system, the housing system, the health system, the employment system, the job system, the social support system. You overwhelm all of those systems, creating as much chaos, anarchy, and disorder as possible so that people become dissatisfied with the current system and will begin to entertain discussions about a new form of government, which, surprise, has already been planned: socialism. They want to bring down the private property system of a constitutional republic with God at the heart of the center and the freedom of the spirit at the heart of the whole philosophy, and replace it with one that makes government the omnipotent authority. But before they can get the people to entertain a form of government where government takes over everything on the promise of taking care of you for the rest of your life and for all time, first they need to bring down the system that's been working pretty good for the last 200 years and has been the first government in the history of mankind that elevated man, the individual man, to the role of the sovereign and the supremacy of authority in the nation, because, of course, the federal government isn't supposed to be the supreme authority. That belongs to God. The federal government is the representative of the people. It's a representative government. And who do you think it represents? The sovereign. We, the people, the actual owners of the country, the actual true authority. And the government is only given the limited authorities the Constitution provides for, which have been exceeded dramatically. And I'm going to get into that with a separate video about all the different departments and the agencies of the government, when they were created, and what we need to do to get rid of them. Just like Argentina and Milieu is getting rid of them, we'll have the same opportunity with Trump in office if we give him a Republican Congress and a Republican Senate. Okay, back to the main topic. The 3 points and purposes of bringing in unlimited amounts of illegal aliens. What is it, like 12.5, 13 million so far in the first 4 years? One is to implement the rules of radicals, which overwhelms the social services systems, not just on the border, but in every major Democrat city where these people are showing up and being allowed to camp out in tents on the street and shut down and interfere with business and pedestrian traffic. So disorder, 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 overwhelm the social support systems. And the Democrats are going right along with that, budgeting for the illegal aliens, giving them prepaid credit cards, housing, health care, green cards for work and employment, which is where all the full-time jobs have been going, is to illegal aliens. Biden's economy has helped illegal aliens. Part-time jobs are what Americans are getting when their full-time job gets cut. And, of course, many seniors have had to go back to work at part-time jobs to make ends meet in the high inflation era of hard economic times that Biden has inflicted on the American people intentionally with his energy policies, which are just as stupid and ignorant and moronic and tyrannical as you could get. So, the second purpose to bringing in all the illegal aliens, of course, is what they're already doing: registering them to vote. Many Americans are leaving the ultra-high tax, high crime, high regulation, anti-business liberal states like California, Illinois, New York, etc., etc., etc. I guess New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maryland, and Colorado, Oregon all go in that same basket, along with some others, of course. But the Americans are leaving those states, so their counts in the census are going down, which means their representation in Congress is going to go down. So The point is to register them to vote, to keep the blue vote strong in those states and the 12 million illegal aliens voting to replace Democrats that may be losing faith in what they see the Democrat Party turning to and endorsing in today's political reality of high prices, high crime, high immigration, high inflation, and funding foreigners but not Americans, and replacing American labor with foreign imports from China and Mexico. So, one, Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. Overwhelm the system to bring it down. Two, get the illegal aliens to vote so that they can maintain the strong blue in the blue Democrat states that are losing voters, although admittedly you could argue the voters they're losing are red rather than blue. But there's a third reason, and that, of course, is the census. Right now, the illegal aliens are being counted in the census. And that means all the illegal aliens going to the liberal states will actually replace the Americans leaving the states. And that way, when you do the census and see the same amount of people in California, they won't lose any of their seats in Congress. They won't lose any of their electoral votes at the presidential election. And they should be losing those vote counts because there are fewer Americans there. So the Democrat plan is to not only use them to replace the voters and to vote blue, but to replace the lost census counts in the liberal states. So they want them to come to California, Illinois, New York, where the states people are leaving, the high cost, high tax, high crime, high regulation, and move them in there. And then when you do the census, as long as the illegal aliens are counted, both as being here and for apportionment of representation and electoral college votes, well, then the liberals won't go down in political power within Congress or at the presidential election. So that's what's going on. They're bringing them in to register to vote, to eventually have them counted in the census, so that the liberal states that are losing American residents and should be losing congressional and electoral college representation, so that they won't lose those votes, those congressmen and those electoral college votes, because they've been replaced with illegal aliens. So we need to, of course, modify the census to keep track of who's legal and who's not, or who's domestic and a citizen and who's not, and then to only use the citizen count for apportionment purposes of congressional seats in Congress and electoral votes in the presidential election, electoral college votes in the presidential election. Those votes should only be based on American citizens in the states, not on illegal aliens. I don't know whether you should count legal resident aliens in that census count or not. My personal opinion is no, you shouldn't. But the census is counting how many people are here legally, so maybe they should be counted. Whether they should be used to apportion seats or votes, that's a debate that probably need to have. But Democrats don't want to discuss any of these things, do they? No, they just want to overwhelm America's social services, bring down the existing form of government, a constitutional republic, replace it with a pure democracy, which is the tyranny of the mob, and we've already seen how they behave. Take a look at all the college campuses, and remember Black Lives Matter? That's the tyranny of the mob that the Democrats are trying to elevate to power in place of the rights of the individual under a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. We may be a democratic form of government because we have a system of one man, one vote. But we are not a democracy because the majority does not rule. It's a republic, which means the law rules the majority. Not a democracy where the majority rules the minority. The law rules everyone, both the majority and the minority. And it should be applied equally, and that, of course, is the problem with our tax system. So if you want to learn the truth, you need to go right here, taxfreedom.com, and start reading. And if you need help answering the IRS, that's right here at irszoom.com. $50 or less per letter, no retainer. The IRS is back in business, folks. If you get one of these letters, you need to answer them. If you know anyone who's getting a letter, tell them to get the product from IRS Zoom. It's guaranteed. You don't like the letter, you don't use it, I'll give you your money back. Guaranteed, $50 or less. Check it out. And remember, freedom comes from God, not government. And God's true plan for mankind is freedom, achieved and accomplished through faith in God. And if you misplace your faith in any other entity other than God, your faith will be used against you to betray you and to enslave you to the entity in which you misplaced it in place of God. And that is the history of the government of humanity. Misplaced faith in the king or country or the philosophy or the agenda, all of it betrays you to enslave you. Only God leaves your spirit free to honor the truth and to prosper from that. Okay, this is Thomas Freed. Check us out on the Thomas Freed channel at YouTube. You can get there through taxfreedom.com. Start reading, get educated, become informed, take back your freedom, your paycheck, and your country. Just do it.